The tubes.
YouTube and Twitch are live. Rolling the intro.
Rolling.
All right, we are live and on the air on YouTube and Twitch. Welcome everyone, D7X Tech Show. We got Nick, myself, Brantley, and Proctor, and it's the 23rd. Oh, and off to a great start. So, welcome everyone. I know Nick told me not to go off the rails on this show, but I have to start it off with this because it's probably the most important news of 2019.
Okay. Oh, that's all good. It's all good.
There's another Terminator movie coming out. And it's got Sarah Connor and Arnold in it.
Dang.
And it's got the chick from Halt and Catch Fire, which was a good PC show. But it looks like she's a new type of android, and they're protecting a kid again, and it's supposedly set the day after Terminator 2 and shows what happened there. But like Sarah Connor's like 20 years older than what she was the day after.
Aged a lot on that day.
Yeah, that was a long day for Sarah.
Yeah. And Arnold.
Yeah, and Arnold's all gray and everything. But they're fighting another. It looks like it's a mix between, the liquid guy and a regular android. Like, he can split the liquid from his android body, and they're like fighting the android and the liquid guy at the same time in the scenes. It looks fun. That's all I can say. I'm kind of excited to see. It's James Cameron's producing and Tim Miller is directing, which he also did Deadpool. So I think it should turn out fun either way. At least it's not a crappy storyline like the last one was. So yeah, so that looks awesome, and yeah, all right. Well, I won't take it too far off the rails off that.
Cool, man. That's cool. In fact, I just realized the reason why I don't want to now make this a video that I'm going to do for later. You know, like Dr. Up and put out there.
It's because of
the show. No, it's not because of the Terminator. I could totally cut out the Terminator and I would leave it in just because anyway. Probably, but no, it's just I'm not set up to do the screen sharing, and the screen sharing is going to look kind of like crappy, you know. I think it'll look kind of crappy and stuff, and I'm not like prepared to do all that anyway. I'd rather just like shoot a video of like the window that's being recorded, and yeah.
Being able to zoom in does help a lot.
Yeah.
People have complained about earlier demo videos we did where they couldn't see what was going on. And that's because we can't zoom in. So. I mean, I could try to set it up so that I look at you.
Oh, you can always edit it and go back and do it.
Yeah.
Which is one. But
no. Did you still want to talk about it or show it off?
Sure, man. Sure.
I mean, it doesn't have to look great. We can just get our taste buds wet from it or something.
Yeah, completely. Well, since since D7, people have been wanting to automate D7, right? The maintenance was the first, because I did not want to automate D7, but I made the maintenance, and that was the first thing that satisfied a lot of what people wanted to automate in D7. You know, but how much of D7 could you really automate? Because not all of it is 100%. You know, not all the malware stuff and all that stuff. Like, it's not 100%. You know, you can't just do that on like an unattended headless type basis. So that's what D maintenance just did, maintenance. And so that was gosh, a long time ago. I quit selling that, quit working on it and stuff. And but I never added the functionality, the command line functionality to D7 until now. And incidentally, it was a guy in the forum who had signed up and posted about trying to script d7x for maintenance purposes through RMM. And it would already have D7 on the system, and he just needed a way to make it, to script it. And so I was like, sure, man, I can do that. I've been meaning to do that. I can do that. And it should be easier now. So I need to go ahead and work on this. And so I did. Right. Turns out the guy's using D7 original, the free one. So I went ahead and did it anyway, and it's in this release. So he can subscribe if he wants to subscribe.
To use command line parameters.
Yeah. Yeah, I told him, I was like, you know, I already did it. It's completely possible, but you're gonna have to start paying for it. You know. So that's basically the big news. Scripting any function, and you know, like with crypto prevent, we'll script functions from D7x. You know, so it's just like I've added just another system for the user to do that as well. But it also allows running of custom apps, you know, which is not something you're going to do an awful lot of, I guess. Certain apps, you can run CCleaner Auto, you can run Neutron, TimeSync, you know, stuff like that. That you know that you can run with like a reliability of it running and not bothering someone, you know. But yeah, so it can do that. It can do all of the D7 functionality. You just get your function numbers from D7 config. In the custom app section, go down to D7.2 functions, pick the function you want. There's a tab to edit and view the function properties. And so you just click on that tab and it's got the function number right there. So it's like, you know, run /D7F equals, then comma separated values for function numbers. Run them all in the order that you specify them on the command line.
Now, if they have it so that D7 requires a password to start up, because if you're leaving D7X on a system,
it's still going to run, and the reason for that is because it's command line, you know.
Yeah.
So it's still going to work. It's still going to do its thing. Like the user's not going to be using, like guessing the command line for this, you know, and then using it. I mean, that's not really what I don't think is a big deal. Which, I mean, I could add like a password protect kind of a verification to it. I mean, I could do it, but you don't want you're putting your password out there then in plain text on the command line, yeah. Which is there in Task Manager the whole time. So you don't really want to do that, I don't think.
And I think one of the reasons to have it password protected is to keep people that don't know what they're doing from breaking stuff. I don't think there can be a lot of people that will try to play around with the command line, not knowing what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, like, all right, here's the command line. Oh, shoot. That didn't display, did it? There. The / the IRC client was like, hey, wait, that means something. Oh, yeah. So that's the command line basically to mimic de-maintenance from back in the day. Right? And the addition that's really special is the in session option, which you're going to also want to run silent with, and silent will keep the progress off the screen through the functionality, as well as keep everything silent during in session and get rid of all the user prompts if there are any configured like that. But the in session thing is really special though, because it will process in session the way it's configured in the user interface. Your options in config, your options on the in session tab, the way they're saved, it will process them that way. So it can still upload reports. It can like make the work report. And what we'll do for this guy is that command right there will make the work report the email body and email it to him when it's finished, because he said he likes to know how much was deleted when the maintenance is done, and he likes to put that in a report or a ticket or whatever, you know, on the what he did. And so this will actually, you can go ahead and configure it, and this works, and it will email you exactly that information, you know. So I think it's pretty neat that you could use this now in like an RMM situation like that, and get the information just emailed to you when you're done, when it's done, like whenever, you know.
Yeah, that is nice. Well, and for the de-maintenance no longer being developed, majority of what was in de-maintenance is in crypto prevent now, and as Nick said, it's using d7x scripting to accomplish all of those tasks. So if you did want a simple de-maintenance replacement, it wouldn't do the report stuff that d7x is doing there, but it would run the de-maintenance stuff on automation and scheduled and all that.
I should point out, I threw in some extra commands in there to show you how to do the custom apps and how to do multiple custom apps on one command line. Mm-hmm. But you're also going to want to know that the silent thing, it's not going to make any apps run silently. You know, they're going to be just as visible as they would normally be if they were running. You know, so it's not going to be like the end all be all.
Yeah, you would have to make your custom app silent when you made it.
Yeah. Now, like the CCleaner, for example, that doesn't do anything but display a system tray icon while it's running. That's all it does, you know. So and then it goes away when it's finished with like the that for that particular profile, you know. So that is acceptable, I think, if you were one of those kind of people. Personally, I would just I just run the D7 functionality by itself. Yeah, that's where I'm at personally. But it's open to do if you need to do it. I also have a kill parameter /kill equals, and then you can specify a file or a directory. That actually hasn't been in there. No one just knew about it. I just documented it. So now, like, I have, I'll just throw out there, if you go to the manual, you can find it, but the command line arguments for d7x. So there's actually a bunch of them that people could use that I just documented, you know, in addition to adding the scripting stuff. So kill is one of those things, and that could sort of be used in a scripting environment. But I think the really neat thing about it is in session and being able to combine functionality within session, and then just have it do everything that it was going to do with the reports and all that stuff, and clean up after itself, you know, put a bow on the service. I think that's really what makes it exciting for me. Yeah. Now, I wanted to I wanted to mention, and Proctor, I don't think you do any RMM stuff and whatever, but I wanted to mention that if you were to use it in an environment where you were scripting D7 and you didn't know because D7x's file name changes when the version changes, when it updates.
Right.
If you go to config on the first page of D7x config, there's a button, and this has been there for a little while now, which says create d7x.cmd. And if you hit that, it'll just create a little batch file beside the d7x exe. And the batch file's purpose is just to run d7x, but the batch file name doesn't ever change. It stays d7x. So you can run that, just d7x, with the command line arguments, and they'll get passed to the executable no matter what the name of it is. If d7x updates itself, it actually updates that batch file.
Cool.
Like, and this has been functionality for a while now, but there was really no, you know, little need for people, because they, you know, there's like one guy actually that prompted for me to put that in there, because he wanted it to be the same file name for he was doing. I think he was launching it automatically or something. I'm not sure what was going on, but I did it for that a while back. So that will help with the scripting, because that's going to pass all of the command line parameters on to d7x, whatever is passed to the batch file. So you can script that batch file without knowing, and that's pretty cool too. So luckily I get to keep the naming the way it is. So of course you could actually rename the executable, but yeah, that wouldn't survive an update, I don't believe. I don't think I put that functionality in there. Yeah, anyway, so that's what I've been doing, and that's actually the second big release this week, 2 days in a row.
Yeah, you've been hammering them out.
Day before, I've shaved like seconds, like 4 seconds off of D7 startup time, like 4 or 5 seconds. It was ridiculous. I apparently at some point last year introduced some bad code. I mean, it happens, you know, and the code was getting stuck in a wait for something that it didn't need to wait for. And the weight code was necessary. It just needed to work right. You know, so there was unnecessary delay for absolutely no reason whatsoever, and it had been in the code all year, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, man, why is it? I thought it was just my VMs, because I don't notice on my machine really, and if I ever start D7X on my machine, I'm not um, I'm not paying attention to it, but it's fast, right?
Mhm.
But I thought it was my VMs or something. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, why is it so slow? And I got on the case earlier this week, and I hammered out this issue, and I was like, wow, that to me is way better when I'm testing. So it's got to be way better when you're running it, for a living.
Well, and timing issues are some of the hardest things to track down too. Like why something is taking so long to start up.
Yeah, and it's hard because like when it works anyway,
Yeah.
kind of hard when the code is designed to work anyway, and there's like there's no fail. There's just like a recover and go. Um, so it is tough to track down. Yeah.
Good updates there.
Yeah, it's been great, and that's like 6 updates this month. It's been pushing them, which is a record here this year. It's a record this year. It's probably getting close to rivaling last year or something like that. Maybe the best there. But but like good updates. DN installer is completely replaced. It's now completely integrated into Kill 'Em All, like all of the deleting file system registry stuff. In addition to the program uninstalls, all of that's in Kill 'Em All interface now, which Kill 'Em All was affected, as well as Malware Search Tool and this big delay in D7X startup, because they're launching as separate D7X processes now, which you'll actually see the command lines for. If you go to the command line arguments page, it'll show you the command lines for launching those. So that startup is improved as well. Just all around happy. There's been a lot of great improvements to Malware Search Tool. There's been improvements to definitions. It's been a great month. Yeah. Great. Rocking month for D7X subscribers. So.
And Proctor, you had something you wanted to talk about today too,
right? Star Trek Picard, is it?
Yeah.
Back to TV.
Did you see that they released a thing for it, a trailer?
No, I haven't.
I haven't watched the trailer yet. It happened just 2 hours ago, so. Yeah, so what is Picard? What are we looking at?
It's in the next generation timeline. Patrick Stewart is going to play Picard.
It's going to be on CBS All Access.
Oh yeah, CBS All Access. I probably won't watch it on there.
What is this CBS All Access?
It picks up 15 years after events from the next generation.
15 years. Yeah, well, they probably could have made it a couple of more, 20 or something. I mean, sorry, Patrick Stewart. Yeah, but
I mean, he doesn't really look like he aged that much.
He's aged fairly well.
Like if he did that 10 years ago challenge on social media, it would probably just be two pictures of him in the same exact position in photos. Like especially if you just did the meme of him like, doing this in a Picard outfit. Like it probably just looked exactly the same.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been like 30 years, you
Yeah.
know. Um, so it's been a while. It's been a while.
Well, other big news out there is 1903 is rolling out to people and places in a Windows update near you. Um, if you go and check for updates, if you haven't checked for updates recently on 1809 or earlier, you'll probably get a cumulative update that looks like that. And essentially, the biggest thing this cumulative update does is gives you one of the features from 1809 or 1903 early, which is allowing you to choose when to install the next feature update version. Um, when this came out on last Tuesday, I believe. No, it came out on the 21st, so 2 days ago. Yeah, so this past Tuesday. Um, I checked for updates and I didn't have the feature update available on my laptop or my desktop. But when I just checked today, it looks like it does give me that option that you see in that last screenshot where I have the option to download and install 1903 now. So basically, you can continue getting updates for uh, your current 1809 or previous Windows, or you can click that to go ahead and download 1903. They're going to start pushing it out as an automatic update later and later. So essentially, they're taking cues from the fiasco of 1809 and giving people the option of when they want to install it, not just pushing it out to a bunch of people all the time and hoping for the best. They're pushing it out slowly, and as people update, they'll be able to get this new option where they can choose when to download and install it, and then later on in the future, they'll actually push it out through updates when they're more sure about its successful upgrade path. So
Gosh, that's
I kind of think that's
scary.
nice. So,
It's nice, but it's scary.
yeah.
It's scary that they should have to do that. I mean, it seems to me like it's like the next level of selling a video game that you know you've got to update, the day it's on the shelf.
It's released, yeah.
You know,
Or 3 months later in some cases.
it's sort of like the same thing, but letting letting people kind of test the waters so that they flesh out the bugs for you.
I mean, I've always kind of sided with Microsoft on this. I think with Windows 10 all the way up until the 1809 feature update, they were doing a ton better with updates. And when they got released, there weren't as many issues with them, if any. They were pushing through relatively fine. Even the feature updates up until that point were going through without issues normally.
Yeah.
And it was only until 1809 that they came into that problem, and basically everybody was up in arms and like, oh, Windows update's ridiculous again, don't update. And like I've said always, I think that their decision to have updates handled by the OS and not by the user is far better than what they were doing with Windows 7. I know Proctor had mentioned that most of the Windows 10 computers he has are update issues or booting issues, or like regular third-party software issues. He's not having malware and virus issues, and that I feel is because Windows is updating itself and patching a lot of those security holes where Windows 7, most of the virus systems we got in, and when we were doing tech work, Nick, one of the biggest things we had to wait on once we got it clean was all of the updates that people hadn't downloaded, which some of those may have protected.
Years.
What?
Because they hadn't been updated in years.
Exactly. So that's I side with Microsoft on this, and then at the same time, knowing how complex it is to update a simple program like Crypto Prevent, updating an operating system which covers millions of computers and hundreds of thousands of different configurations just for business users, like not even the consumer users, which we've seen some people configure their stuff pretty crazily. They have a lot that they're trying to test out for, and I mean, there's no way that they can have a testing environment. We can't even have a testing environment for our programs that cover the amount of people that we cover. So the amount of people that Windows covers and pushes out updates for, I kind of give them a little bit of leeway in having issues with updates come out sometimes. But my biggest thing is that they're actively trying. Like they're like, we still want you to have updates. That last link I posted says that they're going to start auto updating in June. So probably the end of June, they're going to start pushing out the 1903 automatically. But the fact that they did get it out in May, which is what they called it, even though its version number is March, is nice that they did get it there and make it available to people that do want to go ahead and upgrade through the regular stream. Because I don't run the insider versions. Like, I'm fine with updates, and having the insider version for people that want to be on bleeding edge is nice. Like, I think they've done a lot, and they're clearly focused on updates and making it work for all the different variations of people out there. When I mentioned this to Nick that 1903 was available and rolling out, the first thing he did was pause updates, which that's another feature that they've added in Windows 10 throughout this process, is they've given you the ability to pause it. And actually 1903 takes it even further, so that you can say, I want you to automatically update 2 months out. So now you can say, I don't want any updates until they're out for 2 months, and then you can automatically update them. So they're definitely trying and working with all the different variations of people while still trying to make it so that Windows stays safer. But in keeping with that, this past Patch Tuesday, we talked about a very dangerous remote desktop exploit that came out, and there's already a proof of concept out now for it. So that's definitely exploitable, and it's definitely dangerous, and waiting for 2 months to update that will definitely leave your system vulnerable during that time. So it's been, 2 weeks since Patch Tuesday? A week and a half? Yeah, it's been a week and a half since that update was released that was patching a serious exploit, and they were like, you need to update now because people are going to reverse engineer this patch and then come out with exploits based on this patch. So within 2 weeks, probably, we're going to start seeing malicious software take advantage of this exploit. So that's a month and a half that they have to attack your computer if you choose the 2-month timeline route. I think maybe they should have things like that automatically update no matter what. Maybe have like a high priority, low impact patch option or something like that. But yeah, so they have a proof of concept already out for that vulnerability, and even more bad news on the update fronts is, let me find it here. I think 4 proof of concept 0-day exploits for Windows 10 have been released. I believe most of these are probably based on the task scheduler stuff, and none of these are remote ones. They're all local privilege escalations. But I didn't look at exactly what the points on some of these were, but I know one of them was another task scheduler local escalation exploit.
Right.
But basically what these do is once they do get on your system, so like you open an email attachment or you click something and you're a unprivileged user, they can use these to gain full system access privilege. So these are kind of dangerous, and yeah, I mean, at the same time, we use some local privilege access to gain access to administrative rights certain times too. So it's not always for bad purposes that these get used, but more than likely most of these will be used maliciously. So yeah, those are out there. And we had also talked about the Amazon is looking at not having to use a wake word. So basically they're moving closer and closer to listen to you all the time.
Yeah.
And
thought they already were.
they're not supposed to be. Basically, if it hears the wake word, which if you have one of these smart devices and you have a TV near it, you know that it triggers the wake word very loosely. Very, very loosely. So if you even say something similar to it, it can trigger Alexa. So Google Home is not that bad. It's a lot harder to trigger that than it is Alexa, it seems. But I feel like Amazon is definitely inching more towards the, come on, just let us listen to you all the time. It's fine. It's not like we have thousands of employees listening to what we do actually record right now, which they already had an article come out and say that's exactly what they have, is thousands of employees listening to the recorded data that Amazon is recording. Basically, they're just wanting to listen all the time and get everything about what's going on in your home. Google is not moving towards that, it doesn't seem. So I would lean more towards Google Assistants. But if you do that, you're going to miss out on things like this, which just recently the Echo Wall Clock has been released as being available. This is not a Alexa enabled analog wall clock. This is a wall clock that connects to your Echo device and then uses LEDs to display a timer on top of it. I actually think that's pretty sweet. Like, most of the point of using a voice assistant for me has been timers, and having a clock that shows off the timer is actually pretty sweet to me.
I might have to get one of those for my kitchen.
$25.
Yeah, besides controlling my lights, I'd say timers is probably the second most used voice assistant command for me. So
yeah, there are times when 30 seconds is a big deal. You know, there are times when we learned that baking cookies the other night. 30 seconds is a big deal. You know, it will make or break your baking. So
I like my cookies a little burnt.
Well, hey, then you just need an extra 30 seconds.
That remote desktop link I linked wasn't the proof of concept one. The second one was. My bad on that. So, otherwise, if you have an Android device, you can now use Tor browsing on it. They released a Tor browser for Android, so if you want to use the Tor network to anonymously search stuff, you can do that now. That's pretty sweet. You don't have to configure any of the routing or anything like that. The Tor browser's basically supposed to handle all of that for you and makes it nice and easy to use Tor. So pretty sweet there. I haven't tried it yet on Android, so I'm not sure how it works out, but I've been using Tor browser to access Tor for a while, and I've always enjoyed it. And speaking of Google and its robots, you remember that duplex call where basically they're supposed to have AI calling in appointments for you, scheduling appointments? They haven't rolled it out to everyone.
Right.
Turns out that 25% of those calls are actually starting with a person, and then they pass it off to artificial intelligence after that. So they have someone on the phone, like starting the duplex call and then determining when it should be taken over by AI and just transferring it to AI at that point.
Huh.
I'll have the clock on Saturday.
Yeah, what?
I'll have the clock on Saturday.
Oh.
Wow.
Where are you going to use it? In your
My kitchen.
Kitchen? Gotcha.
Yeah, I've been needing a clock in the kitchen since I got rid of the microwave. I don't have a clock in the kitchen, and so since it works with timers, it'll be great.
You actually set your microwave clock?
Yeah, well, once, every now and then. A few months after the power goes out. Probably should get a UPS for that thing.
You have, but you have a voice assistant in there that can hear you, right?
Yeah, there's an Alexa in the kitchen.
Yeah, you can just say what time is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, having it as a regular clock and a timer thing looks cool.
Yeah, sometimes it'd be nice just to look on the wall.
Yeah. And you don't want to let other people know what time it is. Only I will have the power.
Being able to watch the timers will be neat because I'm just repeatedly having to ask the Google and Alexa how much time's left on this timer and that timer.
I've had that issue. Actually, last night we had that. So other big news is AT&T will allow you to pay your phone bill with Bitcoin now. The first U.S. phone carrier to accept cryptocurrency. So if you have a Bitcoin, which is currently worth almost 8,000. It's gone up quite a bit.
Oh wow!
You can afford to pay your phone bill.
Yeah, you can pay your phone bill with it now. And then you'll regret it when next month it's up to 10,000 and you could have used half of what you used to pay your last month's phone bill with this month's phone bill, and so on and so forth. Yeah, the currencies are starting to go back up. Ethereum's up to 245. Bitcoin Cash is up to 400. Nice. All right, well, that's about all I got this week. Do you have any other things you wanted to throw out there?
Nope.
Oh, Beavis, if you're out there watching, I did look at Doom Patrol, and what's kept me going through the 14 episodes is Brendan Fraser is the star voice actor of it. So um, that's definitely kept me in there with his. I've always enjoyed him as voice acting. Wasn't he in something else as a voice actor?
Yeah,
What it was.
of course he was. Do I remember? No, but of course he was.
Yeah, I knew he was in The Mummy, but I thought he was. Was he in Metalocalypse? Oh, he was in King of the Hill. I'm not sure.
Huh.
Anyway, that's what's kept me on it so far. I definitely do not agree it being the best show in the past 3 years since we've had Daredevil and The Punisher and Westworld and any of those shows coming out. But it's pretty good. It's funny. It's definitely a new take on the superhero market. Do you know Doom Patrol, Nick? You're the comic book person.
No, I don't.
So it's it's DC's band of misfits. It's kind of like a DC Deadpool would be the closest thing I could link it to. Um, Essentially, it's they have they kind of do it like the crappy X-Men, and that's what it seems like it's parodying is X-Men because it has an old guy that is helping mutants, and the mutants are the Brandon Fraser's character is he was just a brain and they put him in a robot body, and then they have a girl with 64 personalities, and each personality has its own superpower. It's got Cyborg from Justice League. It has him before he joins Justice League in it. It's got a pilot that had an accident in space, and he ended up having like this electricity guy embedded in him. And then it's got a actress that turned into the Blob, essentially. So none of them are actual superheroes except for Cyborg, but he's like a baby superhero. Like he's on the track to be a superhero, but he hasn't gotten there yet. And he's kind of the leader of this misfit band of people that are like, I'm not a superhero, but I have superpowers, so damn it, I guess I'll help. And that's pretty much how the show's going. It's pretty fun. It's interesting, at least. I definitely am not rating it on the top shows of all time. I even think Stranger Things is a better show overall than it so far, but it is good. It is good. I will admit that.
Okay.
Worth a watch. Yeah, that's about all I got. I guess if y'all don't have anything else, then we'll wrap her on up.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching. We'll be back next Thursday. Hope you have a great rest of your May. And we'll be ending up May next week. So we'll see you all next time.